The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There was a couple of rabbis in the 1990s who went to open this Torah center somewhere in New Jersey. And they called the local rabbi and they tried to get a list of names of Jews in the town. The rabbi said, "I tell you the truth, I don't know that many." So they asked the rabbi, "Can you at least give us some people who speak Yiddish? Chances are if they speak Yiddish, they're Jewish." What? So the rabbi gave them a few people. A guy named Harvey. He says, "I have no idea if you're going to get anywhere with this guy, but it's worth a try. He speaks Yiddish." They call Harvey. They leave a message. "We know we have this place. Could you call us back?" He never calls back. Their first night of the first class, a man walks in. He comes over to one of the rabbis in charge of the group. He says, "What's your name?" He says, "What's your name?" He says, "My name is Harvey. You told me you needed me." So he says, "What do you need from me? Why'd you call me?" They said, "To tell you the truth, we just called you. We're starting a class, and we figured maybe you want to come." "You're starting a learning class, and you called me? Are you nuts?" He said, "I am so done with that. For years I've been done with that. I went through the Holocaust. My mother was killed in the Holocaust. All my friends' mothers were killed in the Holocaust. You think there's a chance I'm coming to a class about Torah? Are you crazy? How do you have the audacity to call me?" "I'm sorry, sir. I just called as a gesture. Can you do me a favor? Could you just not leave in the middle of the class?" So he says, "Okay, I'll sit there. Don't say a word to me." Harvey sits in the back of the class. He hears a little. After a few minutes, he gets up and he leaves. The next week, they give the class. Harvey shows up. Sits in the back. Doesn't say a word. Doesn't open a book. The next week, Harvey shows up again. This time with a Gemara. A new one. It looks like he bought it. Doesn't say a word. After the class, Harvey comes over to one of the rabbis. He says, "Rabbi, do you know the town of Pruzhin?" He says, "Yeah, I heard of this town. It's a town in Poland." He says, "Do you know anybody from that town?" He says, "Yeah, I know a rabbi, Eliyahu from Pruzhin." He says, "Really, you know that rabbi? I remember that rabbi. Do you have anything from him?" He says, "Yeah, he wrote a book. I could find a book in the library." He says, "Rabbi, could you please bring me that book?" The next week, comes to the class, and the rabbi hands him this book, this old book. He opens up the book, and he starts feeling the words, and he sees the word "rabbi" from Pruzhin, and he starts putting his fingers over Pruzhin, and he starts to cry hysterically. So now the rabbi's doesn't know what to do. He says, "I never told you, Rabbi. I'm from Pruzhin, and I'm from that town, and my mother used to call me Yaakov. Could you do me a favor? Call me Yaakov?" "Okay." He says, and he keeps coming, opens the book, every week, until one week the rabbi says, "Next week it's going to be Hanukkah, and we're going to make a special Hanukkah party at our class." Yaakov comes, Yaakov comes, and they had completed one page. Harvey pulls the rabbi over. He says, "Rabbi, I just want to tell you something. I told you I never went to shul before. I told you I didn't do anything. That's not true. I used to go to shul one day a year. I used to go to shul not on Yom Kippur. Instead, I would go on my mother's yortzeit to say Kaddish for her." She says, "But I didn't tell you this too. I'm very sick, and I'm not going to live for more than a few more weeks. And I knew I'd be going back to her soon, and I would tell her, she'd tell me, 'Yaakov, what'd you do for me?' And I'm going to tell her I said Kaddish. She's going to say, 'Come on.' But now I'm going to stand before her, and I'm going to tell her, 'I learned one page of Gemara for you. I lit a candle. Thank you, Rabbi. Now I can stand. Now I'm ready to go.'" A few weeks later, he passed away. A Jew does not have to change the whole world. You have to light one menorah, one candle in your home. Bring holiness. Bring Kedusha. Bring direction. Bring guidance. It's not about winning the war. It's about bringing a little bit of light. It's about showing that our brain thinks different. We're not just like everybody else. We're not brainwashed. We have light. We're not brandwashed. We understand, we know, we stand, and we think for ourselves. Thank you.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. Stories to Inspire teshuvah.org.